I have the honor of introducing our speakers of the opening session. There are three of them because the organization of this conference was a trilateral exercise. It is indeed a Eurocase yearly conference, and it is hosted by two Belgian academies, the ARB, in short, Académie Royale de Belgique, and the KVAB, Koninklijke Vlaamse Academie van België. Dr. Eloy Alvarez Pellegri, Vice Chair of the Eurocase Board, will be the first to address you. Thank you for being here. Then Dr. Ingenieur Elisabeth Monard of the KVAB will take the floor. And finally, Monsieur le Professeur Didier Vivier of the ARB will conclude this welcoming session. Dr. Alvarez Pellegri stands in for Professor Tula Terry, Chair of the Eurocase Board, who was taken ill a few days before this conference. She sends her regards to all of you, and of course, we wish her a swift recovery. On the Eurocase website, you will find the biographies of all interveners in great detail. In the interest of time, I will not extensively quote from these documents. Dr. Eloy Alvarez Pellegri is currently the Vice Chair of the Eurocase Board. He is the Secretary General at the Royal Academy of Engineering of Spain. He received his PhD in mining from the Higher Technical School for Mining of Madrid. His career has been devoted to the field of energy, which is quite an interesting subject. He has a long executive career in industry. He also had a career in the academic field as an associate professor at various universities. Thank you, sir. Dr. Ingenieur Elisabeth Monard is currently the elected president of the KVAB for a 2-year term. For 10 years, 2005-2015, she was the Secretary General of the Research Foundation Flanders, FWO. Her expertise is mainly in the field of science and research policy. Thank you as well for honoring us by your presence. Monsieur le Professeur Didier Vivier is the Permanent Secretary of the Royal Academy of Sciences, Letters and Fine Arts of Belgium. He is a historian and an archaeologist, specialist in Greco-Roman antiquity. He is also a professor at the Université Libre de Bruxelles, having been its rector from 2010-2016. Monsieur le Professeur, merci d'être présent. And Dr. Alvarez Pellegri, you have the floor.
Good morning. First, I would like to begin by saying that our President Tula Terry sent her apologies. He deeply regrets not to be able to be here today. It is my privilege and my great pleasure to welcome you all to the 2022 Annual Conference of Eurocase, the European Council of Academies of Applied Sciences, Technologies and Engineering. We are an independent non-profit network of academies in 23 countries. With this annual conference, we are celebrating the 30th anniversary of Eurocase, and this 250 years after the foundation of Académie Impériale et Royale de Brussels, the predecessor of the two Belgian academies, ARB and the KVAB, hosting this very special conference. I would like to give my most sincere thanks to the chairs of the two academies, Dr. Monard and Professor Ferreras, and their permanent secretaries, Professor Viviers and Professor Bell. Also, warm thanks to the co-chairs of the conference, Professor Jos van der Walle and Dr. Luc Chevno, and to the conference coordinator and secretary, Albert Husnier, who have put together a really great program addressing the theme from open science to innovation and engineering challenge to Europe. I would like also to appreciate the attendance to this important conference of Antonio Loprieno, President of ALEA and of the SAPEA Board, Stefan Constantinescu, Chair of FEAM, Jacek Kolanowski, First Chair of JASAS, Eric Lamban, Group of the Chief Scientific Advisors, and Philippe Bousquin, past European Commissioners. As said, the topic of this conference is From Open Science to Innovation, an engineering challenge to Europe. I find this theme particularly relevant as it is not only addresses engineering challenges, but also touches upon societal issues. Technology is aiming to serve people and therefore is closely connected with society. Open science makes science findings accessible to audience outside the academic spheres, and in doing so, supports decision-making and innovation projects. It increases awareness and trust in scientific findings. The science, based on evidence, helps to overcome challenges such as the pandemic, climate change, and sustainable development. The various sessions will look at the theme using different perspectives, starting with challenges and opportunities of open science and open access, moving to how open science can be used to boost technological, industrial, and engineering innovation for the prosperity of Europe and the common good of humanity. Engineers and technology have a fundamental role to play in enabling development in a respectful, balanced, and ethically sound relationship. I trust the conference will achieve the goal we have in mind, to learn good practices from Eurocase partners and to debate the challenges and opportunities created by opening science. Once again, welcome to you and wish you a very inspiring conference day. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm honored to welcome you in our Palace of the Academies for the annual Eurocase conference. And I'm particularly pleased that we can meet again in person. I would thank Eurocase and his Vice President, Dr. Eloy Alvarez, for having chosen Brussels for this important event. Also, my sincere congratulations to the entire Eurocase community for their 30th anniversary. The two Belgian academies are very proud to have participated in founding of Eurocase in 1992, and still we are active members. Our colleague, engineer Valentin van der Balk, was president of Eurocase from 2002 until 2005. Not only Eurocase is celebrating a special birthday, the two Belgian academies also rightly have every reason to celebrate. Indeed, this year, 2022, exactly 250 years ago, Empress Maria Theresia of Austria founded the Academy in Brussels. At that time, our country belonged to the Austrian Empire. The intention of the Empress was, and I quote, to banish ignorance and its consequences from her states, and to prompt in her subjects that noble competition that causes genius to blossom and leads to useful enterprises and interesting discoveries. As early as 250 years ago, the social relevance of the Academy was clearly recognized. A lot has changed since, but the societal interaction is still present. As autonomous scientific cultural society, the KVAB, the Royal Dutch Speaking Academy, with which I have the honor of sharing, promotes not only science, technology, and the arts, but also feeds the public debate on important societal challenges, as our Flemish government also expects us to do. Therefore, the KVAB offers a wide range of interdisciplinary schemes. Particularly through its Thinkers program, the KVAB aims to invite every year a few highly regarded scholars, the so-called thinkers, from abroad to come to Flanders to reflect on a particular challenge our region is currently facing. They are given the opportunity to discuss the topic with scientists, opinion makers, politicians, university professors, industrial managers, and other stakeholders. Throughout the process, the thinkers developed their specific appraisal and/or evaluation of the situation in the Flemish region about the topic of concern. They have the full freedom to draft a set of recommendations, actions, confrontations, which are consolidated in a thinker's report that offers insight and guidance to the Flemish government. For example, the Thinkers program, Energy in the Built Environment, is currently running and is dealing with the near energy and carbon neutrality of buildings in 2050, including the transitions in spatial planning and mobility. Ivo van Barenberg, engineer and member of KVAB, took this initiative. It illustrates very well how crucial the interaction is of researchers, both in basic and applied science, industrial and societal actors, and policymakers in addressing the major societal challenges. In this company of mostly engineers, I would particularly point out that to deal with the grand challenges, there is a need for a solid base of high quality science in many fields, which can only be built through investigator-driven research in full freedom and not externally steered. As early as 1939, Abraham Flexner, one of the founders of the Institute for Advanced Studies at Princeton University, wrote his incisive and still relevant monograph, The Usefulness of Useless Knowledge. Having said this, I seamlessly come to the theme of this gathering today. It is clear that openness in science is increasing. What is the effect for the next steps of the innovation chain, for the societal implementation, for the common good of humanity? The invited outstanding speakers will outline all this to you. On behalf of the board of the KVAB, I would like to express our sincere thanks to all those who have contributed to set up and to roll out this remarkable, interesting conference. I'm confident it will be an inspiring day. I look forward to the presentations and the debate. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, good morning. It's also my pleasure as permanent secretary of the Académie Royale de Belgique to welcome you in this palace of the academies in the heart of Europe, which is a central concern of Eurocase. As Eurocase operates in a collaborative mode, it was therefore quite appropriate to host this General Assembly in a context of collaboration between the two Belgian Royal Academies. And I immediately thank warmly the three teams which worked together in order to prepare this event. As indicated, my colleague Elisabeth Monard, 2022 is an anniversary year. Eurocase is 30 years old, and our Academy celebrates its 250th anniversary. In 1772, the Empress of Austria, Maria Theresa, decided to create an imperial and royal Academy for Sciences and Letters in Belgium, in Brussels. And it was always, and it is always interesting to have a look on our past to understand the real nature of our institutions. In the very early moments of its history, our Academy aimed to create a balance in its interest between science and humanities. The same concern is always effective in our works, and more, because it seems impossible to tackle the big challenges of our society without having a global and multidisciplinary approach. The term engineer, from the old French ingénieur, denoted, when it was used for the first time, a designer or a constructor of fortifications and weapons. It is clear that technology was highly related to war. It is also the reason why I prefer the French term of polytechnicien, which points out a plurality of skills. In the very early moments of its history, our academy also aimed to follow the model of the Royal Society in London, created more than a century earlier. This institution was largely independent of royal power, but had also acquired an international reputation for its willingness to associate theory and practice, and to devote itself to what is called today research and development. It was a vision and even a philosophy that had been strongly promoted by Leibniz, who was for a long time president of the Prussian Academy in Berlin. Consequently, our academy followed the clear purpose of boosting the economy. The challenge was to stimulate the development of the Belgian province through science. Furthermore, the methods promoted by the 18th century academies were totally based on the opening of science to a large part of society, in the spirit of the encyclopédie edited by Diderot and d'Alembert, which was entitled Dictionnaire raisonné des sciences, des arts et des métiers, a systematic dictionary of sciences, arts, and craft. Here again, we find a constant desire to combine sciences, arts, and technology, and to do it within the frame of an open communication. So we have to observe that at the birth of our academy, the main concerns of this colloquium were put on the table. The link between technology and society, and the role of open science in addressing the major challenges facing our society and in developing in its well-being. Even today, it is one of our mission. In 2018, one of our academicians, Professor Bernard Rentier, published at the Academy a book entitled Open Science, the Challenge of Transparency. In 2019 and 2020, the class Technology and Society of our Academy, under the leadership of Luc Cheffneux, one of the organizers of this colloquium, had decided to focus its activity mainly on the topic of the shift towards a desirable future. In 2020, a group of academicians looked at the issue of knowledge dissemination and its impact on climate change, and published its report on our collection. Open science is a necessity, but how to successfully combine this open science with the economic competitiveness of the products derived from it? The necessary interactions between several sciences increases the need of sharing, but our traditional modes of communication, international conferences, but also modern technologies, for instance, are also responsible for significant production of carbon dioxide, which our ethical responsibility towards the climate requires to reduce. Open science is a matter of ethics. Taking the practice of science out of a system of trading competition and turning it into a common good, promoting cooperation, are probably among the most essential missions of the academies. Transforming this knowledge into an improvement of our societies, offering a better efficiency of the basic research, is a much broader challenge, which everyone, public authorities and companies, must address. But opening science to whom, to what, and how? Indeed, everyone still has to agree on the definition of the expected improvement and the group that should benefit from it. You all know what Yuval Noah Harari argued in his book, Homo Sapiens. We may not agree with his essay, on the history of happiness that concludes this book. The fact remains that ethical questions are fundamental in the face of any technological challenge. We must never forget the etymological meaning of the word engineer. I wish you an exciting conference. I'm convinced that it will enrich us all, and I would particularly like to thank its main organizers, Luc Cheffneux, Albert Rusneau, and Jos van de Waal. I thank you for your attention.
Dear distinguished guests, first, I would like to thank Professor Didier. Je suis un polytechnicien, donc je suis très reconnaissant d'avoir mentionné ce mot. I have also the honor of introducing our speakers at the conference introduction. The first speaker is Commissioner Maria Gabriel, and she will be the first to address you. Due to her very, 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 very busy agenda, she will not be able to be here physically, but she took the time, though, to video record an intervention, which we will display to you in a few moments. Then Professor Emeritus Jos van der Walle of the KVAB, conference co-chair, will take the floor. And finally, Dr. Ingenieur Luc Cheffneux of the ARB, also conference co-chair, will conclude this conference introduction. Then we have a first break so that you can network. As mentioned before on the website, you will find the biographies of these interveners on the website. So I'll be short. Maria Gabriel is the European Commissioner for Innovation, Research, Culture, Education, Youth and Sport. Under her leadership, the New Horizon Europe, Erasmus+, and the cultural strand of Creative Europe programs 2021-2027 will be defined and implemented. Professor Emeritus Jos van der Walle is an electrical engineer. Until October 2013, he was a full professor at the Department of Electrical Engineering, Katholieke Universiteit Leuven, Belgium. He is ambassador for open science at the KU Leuven and the chairperson of the LERU Open Science Ambassadors Group. Dr. Ingenieur Luc Cheffneux holds an engineering degree in physics, a PhD in metallurgy, and a degree in management at the Université de Liège. He spent his complete career in the steel industry, working for Cockerill Sambre and ArcelorMittal, of which he was Director of International Scientific Partnerships and European Affairs from 2005 to 2017. This concludes my introduction, and may I ask our technicians to launch the video intervention of Commissioner Gabriel. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the invitation and the opportunity to address you in this event about the role of open science and innovation. Events like this one are crucial to strengthen collaboration and cooperation between the different players in research and innovation. As we know, the European Union is a powerhouse in knowledge production and a leader in science. The European Union is responsible for 20% of all top-quality scientific publications in the world. On the one hand, through the European Research Council, we are supporting creative researchers of any nationality and age to run frontier research projects based across Europe. Under Horizon 2020, nearly 7,000 ERC projects were funded with a budget of over 13 billion euros. On the other hand, since we launched the European Innovation Council Accelerator Pilot in 2019, we have already financed 531 startups to develop and scale up their game-changing innovations. Europe has a long and proud history in science, and this strength makes us optimally positioned to lead the new wave of deep tech innovation. That is why in July we adopted the new European Innovation Agenda, an ambitious call for action to spur European innovation focused on 5 flagships with concrete actions. Firstly, on funding. We'll mobilize institutional and private investors in Europe to invest in and benefit from the scaling of European deep tech startups. One action will include a new Listing Act, which will simplify and ease both initial and ongoing listing requirements for certain types of companies in order to reduce costs for issuers while safeguarding investor protection. Secondly, we want to facilitate innovation through improved framework conditions. This includes, for example, the establishment of a new open innovation test bed in renewable hydrogen in 2023 to provide access to physical facilities, capabilities, and services. Insights from these test beds in the areas of nanotechnology and advanced materials will inform the future applicability of this approach. We encourage you to reach out to us if these test beds and experimentation spaces could address some of the challenges you are facing. Thirdly, we'll work on accelerating innovation and unlocking excellence across the European Union, strengthening our European innovation ecosystems. To achieve this, we'll focus on connecting regional innovation valleys across the EU, involving regions with a lower innovation performance. We are aware of the importance of open science and collaboration, and that is why we'll establish InnoSpace, an AI-based open platform to support the circulation of ideas and access to research results and connect stakeholders to facilitate collaboration. Fourthly, we'll focus on fostering talents. As you know, innovation depends on talented individuals with a diverse set of skills. Our new agenda will grant Europe with the toolbox to attract and retain these talents. The European Institute of Innovation and Technology will take forward an initiative to target 1 million deep tech talents over a 3-year period across all member states and all sectors. Furthermore, to bridge the gender gap in innovation, new opportunities to connect and train female beneficiaries will be created through targeted actions such as the entrepreneurship, science, technology, engineering, arts and mathematics STEAM fests. Finally, we want to improve the policy-making tools needed to develop and inform policies at all levels across the EU, ensuring better coordination at the European level. This includes the development and use of robust and comparable data sets and common definitions that can inform fit-for-purpose policies. Moreover, we'll continue to build synergies between the European Innovation Council with the wider European startup ecosystem through new waves of projects under the Commission's Startup Europe initiative. Now, to conclude, I would like to call upon all of you to be part of the coalition of the willing implementing this agenda. Europe can be a global leader in the current wave of innovation by making a joint and coordinated effort that leverages its diverse talents, intellectual assets, and industrial capacities. Together, we'll make sure that all the innovators, researchers, and citizens benefit from this new European innovation agenda. With this in mind, I invite you to participate in the second edition of the EIC Summit, which will take place on 7th and 8th of December 2022 in Brussels. Now, have a fruitful annual conference, and I hope you will continue your great work. Thank you.
Commissioner Gabriel for an inspiring message, and I would like to invite Professor van der Wallen to the floor.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor for me to give you a short presentation on the conference goals. And there's a PowerPoint that is expected to appear. Here it is. So the reason why we have decided to include such a short presentation is because quite often people have different opinions or different understanding of what it means open science. And so in that sense, we would like to introduce that in detail in this overview. It's first of all, it's a comprehensive cultural transformation towards a better world. And that's, of course, a nice saying, but we would like to make it more concrete by addressing a number of 5 questions. What are the best ways to open science for supporting practical and industrial innovations? We as engineers are very much concerned about these issues. Which kinds of organizations, initiatives, and ecosystems play a crucial role? We have very important players here in our speaker list, so they will specifically explain what they are doing and how they are doing it, and why in general the benefits can come from such an initiative and such an organization. We will also discuss the question, how will innovation be supported in Europe in the context of open science in a competitive world? How to build a strategic technology position in Europe, and what is the responsibility of the engineering community for reaching a global sustainability? All important questions that will be dealt with in 3 sessions. 1 this morning and 2 this afternoon. The first topic I would like to address is open science. I'm sure you have all heard about open science in various different ways and have used it in different meanings. So it's quite a comprehensive set of elements that are important in the research and development, and these include many different elements. Quite often people think this is only open access to publications, access to information, but it's much more than that. It's open data. This will be discussed in detail, a very important element, because we feel that the open data is the battle that is now going on, on open data. Open peer review, to open the peer review system so that it is more transparent and can produce faster and more interesting conclusions. Open source, open lab notes books. These are also interesting initiatives that can benefit and make research progress more efficiently and more quickly. And open methodologies kind of already pre-register your hypothesis and your way of conducting your research in advance, and getting feedback on that, and later on also faster results. So this is a culture change, and culture changes are put forward or brought forward in many different levels. First of all, you have the level of infrastructure to make it possible, because like open data, if there's no infrastructure, then it is not feasible to implement it easily. And the next one is the user interface and the experience to make it easy, but also to have at the next level the communities, to make it sure that the scientific communities and the cooperating environments make it normative. And the next level is to make it rewarding, because researchers need the level also of feeling that their choices that they are making are being rewarded. In that sense, we feel that many young researchers really question for themselves, what should I do? Should I take initiatives for making my research all these different levels of openness? Should I do it or should I not do it? You can make a choice as a researcher, as a young professor, but later on you will be rewarded and you will feel the benefits. So somehow the benefit system, the incentives and the reward systems should be adapted to such systems. And last but not least, the policy level is important. Here I have taken a picture which is taken from the Utrecht University, which is somehow showing that there's a mechanism where science and society are brought together in a more intensive way the spiral that you see here. It's a very nice picture and very inspiring. I will not dwell on the details. The next thing I would like to draw your attention to is, if you haven't heard about the UNESCO report that has appeared in November last year, I think this is a very interesting document that we will not have the time to go into much detail, but UNESCO has done a lot of effort over more than a year to prepare a report on open science and the value that it has for society. And as usual with UNESCO, these documents are well documented and have good definitions, so that we encourage people to align their concepts and their methods and their definitions to that, because there's a lot of confusion in the field. This is one of the pictures that is taken from this report. The common understanding is important, the policy levels, the infrastructure, I mentioned already, also the training. We should not neglect the training of young researchers so that they are aware and that they are understanding and can easily use the methods of open science as much as possible. The different stakeholders, the incentives, you see that the same messages really come over also in this report. Also, to bring it to societal problems, you see another picture of this report, which is very well drafted with very good pictures, as you can see. And I encourage you very much to Google for this report, UNESCO Open Science, and you will find all of this in much more detail than I can say now. It also discusses the values that are inherent in this system and also the principles. So it is definitely a very valuable document that is a basis for common discussion and common progress, and that should be known to more people, I feel, at this moment. The reasons for doing open science quite often is to ensure better quality. We have seen during many of the discussions that are going on in scientific communities and also in journals like Nature, that quite often research is not reproducible. If research findings are not reproducible, how can you trust the outcome of such a research? So in that sense, it is important to have reproducibility and also transparency of the process, so that there's public scrutiny and public evaluation of the results, and also better quality. And also, we have seen it during the COVID crisis, the speed of obtaining useful results for society has come from openness. So we can learn a lot from this experience, and I would like to encourage you to reflect about it. I will not discuss the details on the FAIR data, because I know that Karel will be dealing with that in detail, and so the research data management cycle can be included, but I will not deal with that in detail here also. Let me give here also a nice pictorial representation of an important document that is produced in the Netherlands by the joint action of the VSNU, the Netherlands Academy, and the National Science Organization, about the evaluation of research and the evaluation of researchers and room for everyone's talent. The researcher should not only be judged upon the number of publications or the number of citations or things like that. It's important that many more elements, also the value for society, should be taken into account. Important incentives, but this is a picture that is related to that. And let me mention here that open science is also important for Europe. I missed the point in one of the previous slides that the United States has in August decided also to make the Biden administration to make open access mandatory in a few months for all the research that is supported by public money, which is a strong encouragement for this. Then I come to the last slide. We have 3 sessions. The first session is dealing with the topics that are mentioned here, that is more related to open science and what it does and what the interaction is with society. The second is the value for Europe. The third is more on the broader value for humanity. And it will be concluded not by Professor Tulateri, but by the Vice President, Eloy Alvarez. So that's the program. Each of these sessions will have 3 presentations, and then this will be followed by a debate with 3 partners or 3 stakeholders each time. So I thank you for your attention.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. To take really profit of this conference, it is very important. So, okay, it's very important to share the same vision of a lot of concepts. And I am very sorry for the people who are quite familiar with a lot of concepts, but I think it's important to take a few minutes for that. I will discuss about innovation. And you must say that innovation is not only technological. It can be social, organizational, administrative, related to marketing. Innovation is not creativity. Innovation is not discovery, nor invention. Innovation is a practical implementation of something new. And the link between research and innovation is not automatic nor direct. And we will, of course, devote our time to technological innovation. And what is the definition? I try to find a kind of official definition. Technological innovation, product and process comprise implemented technologically new products and processes or a significant technology improvement of products or process. And an innovation has been implemented, if it has been introduced on the market or used within a production process. And of course, innovation involves a series of scientific, technological, organizational, financial, and commercial activities. And it's also very important to note that the minimum entry to discuss about innovation is that the product of the process should be new or significantly improved to the firm or to the organization. It does not have to be new to the world. In other words, if a technology which is considered in our advanced countries as quite obsolete, could be a very brand new innovation in other countries. The second very important concept is a concept of technology readiness level. On this scale of 9 different levels, you can see how a first invention coming from the university is progressively reaching the innovation stage. And typically in universities, we are able to obtain and to reach TRL 2, TRL 3. And as you have understood, innovation is mainly the responsibility of organizations, firms, industries. And the responsibility, the leadership of innovation at the higher levels is the responsibility of this organization, which are taking the process of innovation at least at TRL 7 and pushing it to TRL 9. And in some cases, in very big industry having big research resources, and typically in pharmacy or bio industry, you have the possibility with big research teams to go and to have a direct link with university. But for the big majority of small and medium enterprise, you need an actor which is making the link between university and industry. It's a responsibility of the so-called research and technology organization, applied research centers. And I like to present the very, very complex process of innovation in such a way. Innovation process is not definitively a linear one. On the bottom part of this slide, you see the basic research, free basic research and oriented basic research, which allows to go to TRL 1, TRL 2. And then you are creating new knowledge. And this new knowledge is progressively feeding the already big mass of existing knowledge. But when we are discussing about innovation, we have to start from innovation on the left of the slide. And you have a very clear objective to solve a technical problem, process, or to develop a new product. And it's a field of applied research. Applied research, which is done mostly in LTOs, but also with the support of engineering school faculties, of polytechnic faculties, and also for in a lot of cases by businesses. And applied research projects are able to reach TRL 5 or 6. And then you are facing the most difficult challenge of the innovation, especially in Europe. You are trying to cross the valley of death. And the valley of death is the fact that you need very huge investment. And you have to have industry or firm allowing to take the risk to go up to innovation through developing pilot installation and finally the normal scale, industrial scale of demonstration installation. And then you can perhaps sometime reach TRL 9. And it is also, it is important to have that in mind. And to accelerate the process by chance, we have developed for a long time the possibility to support spin-off, new startup coming directly from university research. On the other hand, when you are processing applied research project, you are very often encountering blocking point, and you need then going back to basic research. It's the reason why we need also the so-called industrial or enterprise PhD. And the final notion I would like to share with you on this slide is that basic research, creation of new knowledge and existing knowledge are clearly global issues. Innovation is also a global problem because we are in a worldwide market, but the difference with the innovation is that innovation is mostly a local problem, a local ecosystem, because you need links between institutions, but mainly human links between people. And now I will present you a Nishikawa diagram, which is from a report which has been prepared by a working group of EuroCase. And the report has been published last July and it is entitled Challenges for EU Science and Technology-Driven Innovation in Europe. And we decide to clarify a little bit the very complex process of innovation, to create and to put the different elements in 6 different domains. On the bottom part, on the left, you have basic research dealing with funding of university or some public centers. And we are nowadays in the context of open science. On the upper part, we will also attract the attention on the global process of innovation. And it means that we will have to discuss about the different players and especially RTOs. What is very important and now very common in Europe, but not only in Europe, competitiveness clusters. And finally, we will have to discuss about ecosystems. An ecosystem of innovation is the possibility to collaborate between universities, RTU, enterprise, and public institutions. Concerning public institutions, we need public policies. And public policies need that we have to develop strategies. And we have the great chance in Europe to have a clear strategy for innovation, for research and innovation. And we have the chance to have very big and important frame program. But it's not only the scale of Europe, which is very important, it's also the scale of countries, national countries and regions, supported by good legal frames. And at the level of member states, regions, we have to give a support to innovation. It means that funding, but also the tax system, which is nowadays more and more important. And also attract the attention on the need to have standards at the level of Europe. On the upper part, as you have understood, innovation is the main task of industry or institutions. But first of all, you have to be in a culture of entrepreneurship. And each industry firm needs to have an innovation strategy which can be supported, for example, by industrial association and by sharing, for example, possibilities of making research and development. Another possibility to directly link the industry with university is the so-called industrial PhD. And as usual, the crucial point is finance. And we need to have a very large spectrum on financing means to support startups, spin-off, and so on, but also at the other side of the spectrum, very big breakthrough installation, which are costing 100 million euros. I will not discuss, but it is quite important, especially in the US, China, etc., the military budget, which have also a very good import. And finally, to obtain a real, to attain prosperity and social progress by innovation, we need to have a responsible innovation. It means that we need to have ethics. We have to develop something which is not against the different sustainable development goals. We have to take into account CO2 emission and so on. And finally, I will ask clearly a lot of questions dealing with the 6 domains. In research, basic research, is the role of basic research as the breeding ground of innovation process well understood? And will Europe remain at the top level in basic science? Concerning the innovation process, how to allow EU member states and regions to developing an efficient innovation ecosystem involving universities, RTOs, industry, public and private actors. Concerning public policies, as the public authorities at the different level, EU, member state and region, which is very important, well equipped for supporting innovation. It means strategy, subsidies, tax system, and standards. And concerning now entrepreneurship, industry, and so on, is the local culture open to entrepreneurship? It is dealing with the education system. Is the industrial basis relevant? Without industry, it's quite difficult to make technical innovation. Do the industry have innovation strategies? And how can they connect with university? By their own means, through RTOs, or by direct industrial PhD? Concerning finance, are public and private funding mechanisms adequate for fulfilling very, very different needs for startup, seed, scale-up, crowdfunding, business angels? For big pilot and demonstration plans, how could we have 100 million euro for taking the risk for demonstration, big demonstration project? And what about defense funding? The difference between USA and China versus Europe is quite large. And finally, I will finish with a responsible innovation. Are research and innovation always responsible, ethical, and aiming for sustainability? And how will the community of European engineers contribute to supporting sustainability at global level? And I hope that today, during this conference, we will perhaps receive some answer for these different questions and having good practice to share with the audience. Thank you for your kind attention.